Jumping In on Manx Radio.
With Howard and Chris Kane.
Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome. Can it be? Yes, it can. Saturday night, once again on Manx Radio, 9 o'clock. It is time for the cats in the hats to come out and play, as they say. It is Jumping In, the best in modern and contemporary jazz with myself, H.
And me, Chris. Yes, in a month of bank holidays, here on Jumping In, we'll bring you more special editions. This week for International Jazz Day. What's that, I hear you cry?
What's that?
Exactly. Well, back in 2011, the lovely people at UNESCO, realising the cultural and artistic merit in the wonderful musical art form that is jazz, officially designated April 30th as International Jazz Day in order to highlight jazz and its diplomatic role of uniting people in all corners of the globe. And for a bonus point, can you tell me what UNESCO stands for?
I can't off the top of my head, I've forgotten. It's United Nations Environmental and something and CO.
Yeah, close, but no cigar. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organisation.
There we are.
However, I would have accepted no nonsense, as in, what does UNESCO stand for? No nonsense, as a suitable answer. So, H, which international jazz stars featuring in the mega concert have you scrabbling for tickets at the box office, and which are your second-rate contingency standbys?
Well, you know what? There are so many great artists appearing all around the globe and in this fantastic international band. Well, you know, on bass, I think I'll go for a bit of Mr. Christian McBride. On drums, well, being a drummer, I think I might have two, Antonio Sanchez, and maybe a bit of Terry Lynn Carrington as well, and maybe you've got a pianist.
And for me, well, we're more common than casual. The game's afoot, however you say it. Pesky Pets Parade, and we start with some monkeying around. You see, tonight's show is our selection from the vast array of stars in the free-streamed concert from stages all over the globe, which we can all sit at home and watch tomorrow. Or if you're listening to this later on, you can watch on a streaming service somewhere. Here's John Beasley's Monkestra with Epistrophe. Taken from his 2016 album Munkestra Volume 1, that was the wonderful John Beasley, composer, band leader, arranger and keyboardist extraordinaire, with his take on Thelonious Monk's Epistrophe. As Dave Gelly said back in the day as a review of John's arrangements, he lifts Monk's melodies away from their native idiom of bebop and replants them in a musically cosmopolitan 21st century. Monk's insistent, almost manic worrying at single phrases is replaced by sudden surprises and changes of direction. And what a fantastic band! Bob Shepard, Ralph Moore, Danny Yankovic and Adam Schroeder all on saxes, Hubert Laws on flute and other woodwinds, P. John Watson, Kay Palmer and Brian Schwartz on trumpets, Wendell Kelly and Francisco Torres on trombones, the wonderfully named Jubilant Sykes on vocals, Joey DeFrancesco, the late Joey DeFrancesco on Hammond, John Patitucci and Benjamin Shepherd on bass, Gregoire Marais on harmonica, Vinnie Galuta, Ulysses Owens and Tyrion Gooley all on the drums, Joey DeLeon on congas and percussion, and of course John Beasley leading from the piano. And this was one of those impulse buys we both independently grabbed copies of in listening to it in Ray's jazz shop in Foyles in London after hearing it. And I can recommend all of them to lovers of Monk's idiosyncratic style, given great big band treatments.
Terrific stuff. Yeah, I don't know. 1, 2 volumes, 3 volumes? I don't know. Certainly 2. 3 is
three.
Yeah, I think I've got 1 and 2. I don't think I've heard volume 3, but
The third one is called Monk Plays Beasley, but that's good too.
Maybe I do have a knocking around somewhere. Good stuff in any case. It is Jumping In. We are celebrating International Jazz Day, which is tomorrow.
Woohoo!
So it's just like a few hours out. If you're zooping around, you might be somewhere around the world listening on the web, of course, Paris and New York. Wherever it might be. But yeah, Herbie Hancock has announced, this was a while back, I think in the end of April, the programme for this year's celebration of international jazz around the globe. The flagship Jazz Day itself, well, there's an all-star global concert, which, as Chris said, is being streamed, I think, so you can watch that if you've got a quiet corner to sit down somewhere, with an extraordinary selection of performances by Dan Reeves, Marcus Miller, Dee Bridgewater, Melody Gardot, Sergio Mendes, Cyril Aimé, Antonio Sanchez, John Beasley, we've just heard, and this man we're just about to hear, Christian McBride, the wonderful bass player, smiler, great hat wearer, cigar smoker, and he's played with, well, you name it, everyone pretty much. His new Jawn band been making great sounds of late. We're going to go back a little bit further to 2014 when he took his trio into the Village Vanguard in New York, and this is called Interlude. Oh, yes, indeed. You wouldn't mind cheering for that one, would you? In the Village Vanguard. If you've never been there, I'd just say go and check it out. It is one of the most iconic jazz clubs in the world. None the worse for basically being a small hole underground where there's absolutely no frills whatsoever. Wooden chairs, small tables, tiny bandstand. Last time I was down there, the loo wasn't working. I hope they've got that fixed now. And you basically get beer, and that's pretty much it, as far as I recall. You can buy a T-shirt, I think, in there. Anyway, it's had been played host to some of the best jazz ever, I think, particularly some of the recorded jazz. Just has that atmosphere. You can feel it oozing from the walls. Christian McBride there on a bass with the wonderful Christian Sands, who we did interview on this programme a year or two back at the London Jazz Festival. Lovely chap he turned out.
Really good chap,
yeah. He sort of looked a bit sort of stern on some of his photos. He's really charming, great guy. Even did a sting in Manx for us, I think. And Ulysses Owens Jr., I think, hails from New Orleans. Fine drummer on the drums, and one of the bass players at least, who are playing in the wonderful celebration of jazz which is taking place tomorrow.
That's 2 in a row for Ulysses Owens. He's doing well so far. Now, next, of course, round the corner and not very far away from the Village Vanguard is the Blue Note. And after 3 wonderful In Common sessions from Walter Smith III, I suppose we're wondering where this consistently inventive saxman would turn to next. Well, a comfy place, perhaps. I'll explain after we hear Contra. Contra there, taken from the latest release from sax player Walter Smith III. Return to Casual. Why did I say a comfy place? Well, the saxophonist's debut back in 2005 was entitled Casually Introducing, and then 10 years on he glibly assured us with his fourth release that he was still casual. Now a further 8 years on with his 16th release, he's returning to Casual, for which he has assembled a great new band and also a new label, a Blue Note debut for the man, with pianist Taylor Eigsty, guitarist Matt Stevens, bassist Harish Raghavan, trumpeter Ambrius Akinmaziri, and also a guest appearance by pianist James Francis, and of course Walter Smith III. Go on, treat yourself to a copy.
Yeah, sounds very good indeed. Although you're saying, is the CD out? It's just downloaded at the moment.
It's due, but the download is definitely available now, and the launch date is round about now, so the CD it could well be available.
Terrific stuff. The only bad part about Walter Smith is the only time we've seen him live under his own name, it was incredibly disappointing. We don't know whether he was jet lagged or just couldn't be bothered, but he played a very lacklustre set and had to be told to go back on the bandstand, because I think he delivered about 50 minutes when he'd been booked for an hour. And yeah, the promoters and the people at Southport Jazz weren't best pleased with him. And
I think he had some travel issues. He'd been travelling for sort of 18 hours or something, and the gig was in the morning, wasn't it? It was a Sunday morning.
Every album I've got of him, I've really enjoyed. But that's the way it goes, isn't it? Seen this man a few times, and varying from brilliant to. We saw him, I think, in the Roundhouse one time, where it wasn't so much him as the acoustics were appalling. Herbie Hancock, the man himself who was putting together the band, I think he sort of puts all the musicians together for the International Jazz Day and celebration for these mega bands, so that we definitely need something from him. Where do you start? I don't know. You can take your pick from God knows how many albums, almost random off the shelf. How about VSOP back in the 70s? And Herbie with the boys and Nefertiti. Oh, yes, another great liver as well. VSOP, the quartet that Herbie Hancock set up after. It was like the second great Miles quintet without Miles, as you probably sort of gathered listening to the players there. Herbie getting into his electric phase very much there, so playing electric piano, but pretty much as an acoustic in that particular effect. Eddie Henderson taking trumpet and flugelhorn, Julian Priest on some tenor and bass sax and what on the album as well. On that particular case, we did hear Wayne, of course. Wayne Shorter playing tenor and soprano saxophone, so basically it was the old Miles quintet with Freddie Hubbard taking trumpet duties on that particular track. Tony Williams, of course, on the drums. Ron Carter at the bass. But like I said, various other places on the album. You get Eddie Henderson coming in, Julian Priester, Benny Maupin from the Headhunters as well, of course. Buster Williams, Billy Hart. Fantastic lineup. Going back to 1976. Which was a good year of it. It was very warm. That was the year of the great warmth on the album, anyone remembers?
It was the great warmth. Well, we weren't too bad last year, were we, to be fair? Now, next from me, another big player in the orchestration, composition and band leading game, the wonderful Vince Mendoza with his latest release with the Metropole Orchestra, Olympians, and this track featuring another of the Jazz Day stars, vocalist Diane Reeves. Here's the universally understated Esperanto.
There's a secret that never dies, like a song of hidden meanings that we never apprehend. There are questions just as old as time, and the answers that come never quite make amends. Even so, when you look at time, you can get a subtle feeling of the way it ought to be. Take a good look at your own real life, and you'll see if you want what you've gotten to be. It's a hope, a sign, a measure of quiet rapture, of love and what may come after. It's letting go and letting no answer be an answer. How did smoke learn how to fly? Where do birds go off to die? Why does coal sleep in darkness? Do dreams live in apartments? Is a number forever? Where's the soul of the water? How old is old November? No one here can remember. If I die, where does time go? Do the bees feel vertigo? To get love, is their potion? Or is love only motion? Ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum, bee-dee-da-bam-boo-de-ba. Ba-da-da-bee-dee-ba-yeah, ba-da-ba-bum-ba-be-um-bam-ba. Bam-ba-bum-bam-bam-da-da, boo-bee-da-doo-ba-doo-doo-bam-bam-ba. Indo-de-ba-yeah, bee-dee-ba-da-dum-be-da-da-doo-ba-ba-de-la-la. Bam-ba-da-yeah. Forever
with a writing it still equally at home with Joni Mitchell, Pat Metheny, Mike Brecker, John Schofield, or indeed the 58-piece Metropole Orchestra. That was Esperanto, taken from Vince Mendoza's new release Olympians, and featured on that track vocalist Diane Reeves, who joins a whole host of other A-list jazz stars tomorrow for the Marathon World Jazz Day concert.
Certainly is, and we are celebrating some of the artists involved in that. It is pretty much a global affair, concerts all over the place, with this sort of mega band being put together by Herbie Hancock, who we just heard, of course, playing in all sorts of different formats, no doubt. And one of the drummers, as I said, it was the wonderful Antonio Sanchez, perhaps best known for his tenure with Pat Metheny, but some cracking albums out under his own name, including this on Cam Jazz, the Meridian Suite. And here's a great track called Channels of Energy. classic stuff, and it does actually remind me possibly of, I don't know, whether it's a bit of Weather Report, whether it's a bit of Pat, but something very good indeed. Antonio Sanchez from his Meridian suite out on Cam Jazz a few years ago. Antonio, drums, keyboard, vocals on some tracks as well. I can take or leave those. Seamus Blake on tenor and Iwi, John Escreet on piano and Fender Rhodes, Matt Brewer on acoustic and electric basses, and also you've got Tana Alex on vocals on some tracks, and Adam Rogers playing guitars. Well, we're checking that one out. And of course, it is all for this International Jazz Day, which has been taking place, or it's taking place, I should say, tomorrow, set up by Herbie and his Institute of Jazz, and all about basically being a goodwill ambassador and spreading the word of peace and music and art throughout the world through the medium of jazz.
Fantastic. And great album, the Meridian Suite, as you say. The one the year before, 3x3, also great. His latest one, Shift, Bad Hombre, I'm not quite so sure, a bit of a curate's egg. But there we are, great playing nonetheless. Well, that is just about it for this week. Next week, there's another special edition, but I think we'll leave you to work out the theme for yourselves. For now, we'll leave you with a guitarist we've been lucky enough to see a number of times, and indeed interview some years ago. His live sets always rock the house to the foundations, but his records always seem to be a bit more jazzy. In this case, in the company of Roy Hargrove trumpet, Bob Franchini and Bob Malik on both on tenor sax, Craig Murrah again for the second time on harmonica, Jim Beard piano, organ, synthesizer, Chris Mindoki and Michelle Neg cello, Victor Wooten, Anthony Jackson all taking turns on bass. Also, Richard Boner on bass, Dave Weckl, Kevin Thompson on drums, and of course, Mike Sturm with the title track from his 2006 album, Who Let the Cats Out?
Loud. See you next week.
Meow.